such a long history together in this medium. I think I've been talking with you since probably 2011.
Yeah, you might have been the first podcast interview I did.
Really?
You and Eric. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember we talked to you back when you got a cease and desist letter from a
Oh
publisher
yeah.
about the name of WALDO 100K, which wasn't always that name. It was something different. I don't want you to get sued, so I don't know if I can say it or not. But it is a fabled children's book. Um, and I guess if I were to write a similar book, it would be uh, Where's Scotty's Look of Disappointment? Um, and spoiler, it's on every page. just just my face, not hard to find.
I'm not worried about them coming after us anymore. There was a short-lived, so I'll just say it. It used to be called Where's Waldo 100K,
Yeah.
and it was named after a ski run at Willamette Pass where you can see Waldo Lake on a clear day. And we came up with the name. Didn't seem like it was controversial. And my wife said, who has received cease and desist letters prior to this one, said, you're going to get a cease and desist letter someday. Like, oh, come on, that's just ridiculous. No way. It's just a stupid little 100K small race named after a ski run. And sure enough, 2011, I got the damn letter. Like, you have to change the name. Uh, there was some sale of the rights to a movie company, and the movie company was doing a background search, and you type "Where's Waldo" in Google, and of course the race came up everywhere. Nothing about the cartoon character, and they were willing to work with us in some kind of licensing agreement, but we just like, nah, we're just stay clear of this. I don't want to get lawyers involved, so it was easier to change a name. And it was kind of fun brainstorming what we should call it. And Waldo won. And it's simple, and it's yeah, it works. We like it. I actually like it better than Where's Waldo. Even though I don't have it right now because I'm in California still, but I have a little Where's Waldo doll that I carry around all race weekend.
You do? Oh, that's great. I love
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
In race
Yeah.
shorts and a bib and hydro pack, dress it up.
So I'm not shy. I'll see what they do. If no one's coming after us
Oh no,
anymore.
nobody.
We weren't harmful. It wasn't harming their brand at all.
No,
So.
of course not. All in good fun. Come on, squeaky clean fun on a hard ass trail. So Waldo is part of our Old School Ultras. We've got a list of these, but this race is very near and dear to you as the originator of this, and so we want to take a deep dive to anyone who is running it in just a few days. Just kind of give them some background information about the race. Anyone who's aspiring to run it, or anyone who has run it in the past, of just to reflect upon what makes this race so unique. So, Craig, let's talk about sort of the origin of this 100K and how it all got started.
Well, back in I think it's 2001, maybe 2001. There weren't that many ultras in Oregon. There was an Oregon Trail Series that basically respected everybody around the state, and we were spaced 3 weeks apart. There were that few ultras in Oregon that we could do that, and we found an open date. It was the end of September. We were looking to possibly create a 100 miler, which we didn't have a 100 miler in Oregon at the time, and we tried a couple. Like we tried the Eugene to Pacific Crest Trail, which is a 105-mile trail, even though it's not completed, from Eugene to Willamette Pass. We thought, oh, that could be cool, but then the trail really it didn't connect all the way through, and it really wasn't that interesting of a trail. Um, so I was a patroller at Willamette Pass, and like this should be the venue. The ski area is a perfect venue for an event. And so Kurt Ringstad, my co-founder, he had the ability to make these cool training loop routes. He did this all the time in the gorge, and so we were brainstorming, and he came up with this route, not exactly what we have right now, but it's a really cool, unique um, connect a way to connect the peaks that used to be fire lookouts. And we got warned by the Forest Service that, hey, there's a couple trails in here that we haven't maintained. We don't know what the status of these sections of trail are, but the rest of it looks good. We proposed going around Waldo Lake, but there was a new Waldo Lake Basin plan coming out, and they were hesitant to let us do that because they thought to use that trail because they thought it might go against their new plan. So we came up with Willamette Pass as the start and finish, and we had to connect. Like South Waldo Trail was completely gone, and the Leap of Faith, which is the trail that we name it Leap of Faith off of Maiden Peak Summit. There was no trail. There were some old maps that had a trail down there, but we couldn't find anything. And then there was one other section called that we called the Lost Ribbon Trail, connects the Twins Trail to the PCT, and that was non-existent. And some of these are right on the boundary of Forest Service uh, districts, so they didn't get, they weren't completely covered by one district, and they got lost. So we found the trails and made new ones, and holy cow, it turned out to be
Wow.
really hard. The first year was really hard. When you leave aid station 6, which is road 4290, it's like 37 miles. The course doesn't cross a road. So to get yourself out from 37 miles to 60 miles, your life's not going to be easier just because you want to quit at an aid station.
Mhm.
You might as well just keep going, which in the first years, that was pretty hard. And we had some established race directors who said, Craig, this is crazy. You need to do it the other way around. Maiden Peak at the end in this remote section it's too crazy. And I said, no, 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 we can do it. Um, in that wild section, the three aid stations that are remote are the Twins, Maiden Peak aid station, and Maiden Lake aid station. They're all either a mile and a half to 3 miles in distance, and you have to carry the supplies in there somehow. And the first few years, we carried water on our back, and um, it was kind of an amazing effort. But we had some low finish rates early, and but I believe that it was the appetite was there for something like that. And now in the grand scheme of ultras now, it's probably not that crazy. But back then it was pretty crazy. Why would you design a course that you couldn't have drive up aid stations? You're just insane. There are a few races that still do that right now. Um, Hard Rock, Go Beyond, but Western States doesn't have anything like that. That would just be it's just logistically too hard.
Yeah. What's how many miles of trail do you guesstimate that you guys uncovered?
Well, let's see. South Waldo was probably. We also opened the trail up more than just what was used for our course. That was part of the agreement with the Forest Service. Like, you open up this whole trail and we'll let you use this portion of it. That was probably 9 miles, and then the Twins was probably another two, and then the Leap of Faith was another mile and a half. So somewhere 10 to 12 miles of trail that we could find blazes, old blazes, 40, 50-year-old blazes. Um, but there was absolutely no tread anywhere. You couldn't see the tread. It took quite an effort. And it was before GPS was so prevalent. So we were doing grid searches, and
Wow.
it's fun. It was fun. And now once we opened those trails up, they became really popular with mountain biking and running. People
Wow.
run up there all the time. We advertised training loops up there, and it really opened up the area to more recreation.
What a service! What a service you provided to the community for the outdoor adventurer. So before we go further, I like to provide our listener with an overview about Waldo. Let's talk about the elevation profile, the amount of time someone has to finish it, where the cutoffs like, what kind of what can someone expect to experience out there, and for you, what makes this area so special for the runner? What should they expect?
Well, there's a lot of really smooth, runnable trail. It's unique. There's very few rocky sections. It's just so if you don't like trees, you probably won't like Waldo because there's miles and miles and miles of forest. And some people want more open views, but if you want incredible trails, with the views being earned, you got to climb the peaks to get the views. You don't get them in between the peaks. Um, that is unique. I think we're about 90 something percent single track trail. Um, the cutoffs. So we used to have two starts. We had a 5 a.m. regular start and a 3 a.m. early start, and that allowed a lot of people to get their dark hours early instead of late. But it caused all kinds of challenges for the runners too, having to decide, do I take the 3 a.m. start or the 5 a.m. start? So we consolidated those to one start at 4 a.m. I think we did that. This is the third year now of that. And the cutoffs there's three cutoffs. One's at Charlton Lake, 32 miles. That's 2 p.m. And then the next one is at Road 42, 90 miles, 37. And that's 3:15. And then the Twins, the second time, is 5:30 p.m. If you make it past that last cutoff, intermediate cutoff, then like I said earlier, you can't just get in a car and be done, right? So we allow you to finish no matter what time it is at the very end. If you want a Western States qualifier and a hat like I'm wearing right now, you got to finish by 10 p.m. or 18 hours.
Okay, fair enough. The this race is not suited for a beginner ultra runner. You have to have a qualifier to get into this race. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're not that strict like Western states where we're really strict on your qualifier. We just want people who know what they're doing out there because you got to be able to take care of yourself, especially if we get inclement weather at the end. You're tired and there's no road crossings. You better know how to take care of yourself. So we suggest that you run at least a 50K or longer in the last 2 years. But we make exceptions if you're a backpacker or you have other outdoor experience that you can convince us that you're not going to be a liability for us, then we let you run.
And if you already said it, I apologize, but what's the elevation profile on
I
the?
didn't say it yet. It's around 12,000 feet of climbing, and the same it starts and finishes in the same spot.
Yeah,
So,
and how many peaks are there?
well, there's two proper peaks. The Twins, we used to go to the summit of the Twins early on. But the course was 66 miles, and people didn't like that. This is before we could measure it with GPS, right? We ended up wheeling the course to determine that it was really 66 miles. So we took off the summit of the Twins. We changed the start a little bit to get it down to 62 miles. Um, all three of those peaks were fire lookouts in the past. So there's evidence up there of, you know, buildings. There's some nails, some glass. There's less and less of it now, but we had offered to clean it up, to clean the peaks up, and Forest Sitter said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! You can't take that. That's historical evidence of the lookout era. So, what may be trash to you is is archaeology."
I don't know about that.
We didn't. It was a good thing I didn't just do it, which
Yeah,
is
gosh,
which is a
who'd have thought you have to ask about that? One man's
yeah.
trash is another man's trash, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, but they were obviously the view spots. So you climb up to the top of those peaks, and you're like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, wow. Um, so I also want to talk about the, about, do you allow pacers, and what should crew be prepared for? Because it doesn't sound like there's sections that are be, that are the run will be that the run will be reachable at all.
Yeah, yeah, you can drive to one, two, three. You can drive to four aid stations out of the nine. And you can hike in to the Twins, which is a popular one to hike into because they hit that twice. That's a mile and a half or so. Yeah, we allow pacers from Charlton Lake, mile 32, about the halfway, one pacer at a time. It's hard to switch pacers because they would have to come in to one of the remote aid stations. Um, so it's an effort to switch pacers, but people do it. You can come into the Twins, hike into the Twins, and then swap. Switching at Maiden Peak's a little bit more of an effort to get in there, but people do it.
In your opinion, what makes Waldo an old school race?
Well, we we don't do a lot of social media. We don't have a live broadcast. We're not trying to be all flashy and try to get big sponsors. We have very few sponsors. Ultra helps us out. They're a presenting sponsor. They help us out financially, and we only have a couple other sponsors, and we like that. Obviously, if you set that right next to Western States, which I do the rest of the year, right? It's very different. I have the skills to go get sponsors, and the connections, but I don't want to, and we haven't wanted to do that. We've been able to keep the cost pretty low. We're all volunteers. No one's getting paid at Waldo. Amy just joined our board. Amy Clark, your editor, um, and we just pride ourselves on focusing on the runner experience. The runners are that's why we're doing this. So provide an opportunity for the runners to have, for many of them, it's their longest run that they've ever done, their longest race. And then it's cool for me to see that and be grounded by that when I live in this Western States world. And I like seeing the runners who are exceeding their expectations, and it's not in a big hyped up way. We're there to support you. We got incredible support, lots of infrastructure out there, that actually rivals Western States in many ways. Um,
How so?
well, we were connected to the ski patrol. I was a ski patroller there, so we had all this infrastructure from the patrol. So the medical response and the medical reach was built in. We also have connections with Lane County SAR. So we'll have SAR folks out there. If you're running the race this weekend, if you're late, you'll see that there's a lot of people out there in the dark in the remote areas. So we've had problems in the past with runners that had needed extrication or needed help. So we have built up the infrastructure around it. And I don't even have SAR here at Western States out in the middle of the course during the race. We call if needed. Um, and then we have the ham or the patrol radio, the ski area radios infrastructure that covers most of our course. That was just built in because ski patrol, the ski area. We still use ham radio network and the ham radio teams, which have been with us for day one, have used Waldo as a training environment. So there's already 30 people signed up. There were 30 people signed up 2 months ago, ham radio operators to work at Waldo. That's an incredible number of volunteers, right? Of a specialty volunteer, not just someone that is going to serve water. Or, it's you have to pass a test and have equipment and then hike in. Then that's pretty amazing
Yeah.
to have that kind of infrastructure.
Wow. Let's talk about that you said in a moment ago that no one earns a dime from this. And this is a fundraiser. And so I did want to shed light on that. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so like I said, I was a ski patroller, and the Ski Patrol at Willamette Pass is a volunteer organization. They pay for the supplies that they use, the consumables that they use, and we made this a fundraiser from day one. And that there was also a strategic reason for that because as a fundraiser for the patrol, the ski area, which is independent of the patrol, the ski area has waived our fee. We've never had to pay a site fee. If we change that and it wasn't a benefit for the patrol, then they probably be looking at us, well, yeah, you're a vendor. You wanna have an event on our property and use our power and our water and our all the infrastructure we have up there at the ski area, the toilets being opened, for the duration of the race, then we would expect to pay a fee. But as long as it's a benefit to patrol, I think that relationship is still strong. We can keep the entry fee low and still make a little bit of profit. I think we average about 6 or 7 thousand a year in profits to the ski patrol, which is not a whole lot of money, but for the patrol, it's a significant chunk of their annual revenue.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is tough ass work that they do. Then I'm sure that the SAR is probably also um, a they do it voluntarily. It's a non-paid gig for lots of those guys.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
people see a fundraiser out in your community. They do like a fill the bag or fill the boot fundraisers. Tap into your local
yeah,
SAR community and because they have a need for what they do and what they do. It's life-saving service. Usually in conjunction with their local law enforcement to find
yeah.
folks and in really difficult, hard to get to spaces. So,
Yep. And the ham radio groups are not allowed to charge. Ham radio is so pervasive at ultras that that communication is probably not going to go away anytime soon. The power of the broadcast nature of radio, you versus a one-to-one communication. Say if I had a cell phone on a Starlink, yeah, I could still communicate with all my aid station captains and medical folks out there. But when you have an issue and you say it over the radio, a lot of people hear that, and someone may have a piece of information that can help you solve the problem. And having cell phones is really limiting for this kind of event, this ultra. So the ham radio guys, even though they can't take money, we can buy them equipment. We can make donations to them. And yeah, I think that's a really cool way. If you want to get involved in helping ultras, get your ham radio license and help out at ultras.
yeah, and those folks who do ham radio, from what I know, they're so dedicated to this, you know, craft.
Yeah.
And it sounds very special. Those folks are very unique individuals, and I always enjoy spending time with them.
Yeah, yeah. And that's easier for an ultra runner to do. Getting involved in SAR, you can't really take, I mean, you can take those individual skills that you learn if you go through a SAR program, but you can't just go to another race in another state and, hey, I'm SAR, right? So where ham radio, you can plug in anywhere in the United States, maybe even in the world. You can plug in anywhere, just get the frequencies, and in there you're helping in a very unique way at an ultra.
That's so cool. One of the things that makes this race unique is that you have awards that you give out to runners, and and they're unusual. If you could share with us
Yeah.
what those are.
Yeah. Well, so this is a really bad thing to do, but we have a preem for the first runner, both male and female, to reach the first peak, the summit of Fuji, and you still have to finish. You can't just sprint to the top. But it really probably isn't something I should encourage people to go run really hard at the beginning of an ultra. But we have that award for male and female. Yeah, it's called the Find Waldo Award. It's the first place you can see Waldo Lake. And you get there, they get there right around sunrise. It's just magnificent. The view is incredible. I used to stand up there a lot in the first 10 years or so of the race, and people would come up there and like, what the heck am I looking at? And I would tell them it's Lake Tahoe. And um, you know, they're like, this is Lake Tahoe? No, it's Waldo Lake. Um, and then we have the Wet Waldo Award, which is really fun. Um, it could be stupider than it is, because it's in the mountains. It can be cold. We have had days where it's cold.
Yeah.
So we don't let you swim into any lake that you run by. It's only in the second half of the race. So Charlton Lake is the first one. There's six possible lakes. Five of them are relatively easy to find. The sixth lake is Found Lake, and that's not easy to find. You have to do your homework or get lucky. Um, and yeah, the person who swims in the most lakes wins. If there's a tie, which it often has been six lakes, it requires six lakes, then you win the Wet Waldo Award. And then the newest award is we were looking for a way to I reward our volunteers, right? To show appreciation for our volunteers. So we made this Show Us Your Waldo Award, and of course we don't define what Waldo is. Just whatever the best or the most Waldo wins the Show Us Your Waldo Award, and that's a perpetual vest, and you get an entry into the next year's race. And I make you come up at the pre-race meeting the next year and do whatever you did. And I really didn't know how this was going to go when we created this. I thought, okay, it'd be just some awesome person who is so grateful for being out there and they're thanking the volunteers, right? That really positive type of attitude that we all love and everybody's energized by those kinds of people. Um, but it quickly turned into artistic performances. There've been dances and songs and people wear costumes, and it's just turned into who knows. Some years we don't have as much participation. Other years we have really competitive finalists, and each aid station votes for the top three that that the whole crew. One mistake that more than one runner has made is they've tried to kiss ass. They've tried to kiss the captain's ass, right? Like someone brought salmon, smoked salmon, and they gave salmon to the aid station captains, and they didn't win. It was an incredible effort, but they didn't win because everybody else at the aid station got nothing.
Yeah.
So the whole crew votes, not just the captain. So you got to do something that will get the votes of all the people at the aid station. And it's been super fun.
That's great.
Um, and we have used it for ways that they weren't necessarily trying to win. We had a woman a couple of years ago who was breastfeeding her baby during the race at different aid station. We're like, what? And she wasn't trying to win the award. She just, my God, she ran the race breastfeeding her baby multiple times at aid station. Like, so
That's incredible. That is
yeah.
incredible. What people do.
So they're fun awards. I think that's all of
Was
them.
was baby's name Waldo? It should have.
Yes.
So we've talked about the race and it's old school vibes. What you can expect there. It's not Western states. Um, what should runners know to prepare themselves for this 100K?
Well, hopefully they've already done the work, the running, so they're prepared to run 100K. Um, one of the, you know, one of the unique parts of this course is we are on 18 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail, and it's a very popular time for the thru hikers to be coming through. So I wouldn't say that we have tension, but there's the potential for um, these thru hikers are doing something incredible. The runners are doing something incredible. Um, and we make the runners aware of that. And most of the time, when runners see through hikers, they're just in awe. The through hikers are in awe of the runners, and then vice versa. The runners are in awe of the through hikers. They've only got a state and a half to go. They're more than halfway through. But because of that and challenges that we had early in the race, we don't mark the PCT. We don't overmark the PCT. We don't want to ruin or affect the experience of the through hikers.
Yeah.
So this is unique at Waldo and is very refined marking strategy. But we'll have a sign that says there's a left turn or right turn 150 feet ahead, 50 steps. And then at the intersections, it's very well signed. If those signs got manipulated or vandalized, then the 150 foot ahead sign won't go because through hikers they stay on the trail. They don't venture off that very often. And then we sparsely mark the trail in between those. And the PCT, at least down in Oregon or up in Oregon, that is the main travel trail, right? The other trails are just ancillary trails. Here in California, Desolation Wilderness is completely different. There's so many trails and they all get used by hikers. But in Oregon, poof, the PCT, that is the main trail. That's the main thoroughfare. So in order to respect the through hikers and the other users, they don't want to see the ribbons every whatever we do, fifth of a mile or something. We do it here at Western States. We just litter the trail here with Western States, and that wouldn't work up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have had problems. We have had issues before, early on, before we developed this strategy with some through hikers that didn't think that we should be out there using the Pacific Crest Trail for our events,
Yeah.
even though it's a benefit for the ski patrol. It's all goodness. Once people come to realize what we are, that we're not whoring out the PCT, they tend to flip. But if you don't know that, you don't know that we're not trying to make a ton of money and that we're takers. We're not takers at all. The amount of trail work that we've done alone is just massive amounts. And if the through hikers, when they learn that, like, wow, we keep this PCT, we keep these 18 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail open. These guys are not bad people, but that plays into, I think I'm answering your question. But that plays into the unique marking that we do at Western States or at Waldo. Some people are a little like, why aren't you marking like you do at Western States? Why don't you have ribbons everywhere? We don't. So that's unique. That's cool. Did I answer the question? I don't even
Uh,
remember what it was.
little, I would say a little bit. Yes. I was trying to figure out what runners should know to be prepared for this event.
That's right. So definitely be prepared for paying attention when you get to intersections. When you see a sign that says left turn or straight ahead, you go that way. If there are no other turns, then there will be no reassurance ribbons. Just stay on it and be confident you're going the right way. If you have the GPX file in your phone or your watch, that helps, or bring a map. It is very well marked. It's just unique.
Yeah.
And the final peak, main peak, it's really hard. It's really freaking hard. I've run the race twice, and before the first time, I had done triple maiden peaks. I had gone 36 miles, 12 miles round trip, 3 times. Like, I got this hill. This is not a big deal. And then I get in the race, like, man, this thing is just never ending. They didn't have a whole lot of switchbacks when they were building these lookouts. They weren't trying to build simple paths. They would put the telegraph wire as straight up as possible, right?
Wow.
So that hill it's hard. Main Peak is hard. It's all downhill, net downhill from there. The top of that is mile 53, I think. So you got 9 miles left. It is a really glorious last 4 miles on the PCT back to Willamette Pass. The perfect gradient. Um, Absolutely the best finish that I could imagine at an ultra is from the top of Maiden Peak to the finish of Waldo. It's just, and you go by 3 lakes, well, 4 lakes that you can jump in if you wanted to, if it's not cold, if you're not late. Just absolutely scenic as you could imagine. But again, if you don't like lakes or trees, then you're probably going to be disappointed.
I like a lot of pavement in my ultra runs. They're great. As many parking lots as you can give me. So, speaking of, that beautiful finish, let's talk about some of the previous finishers, these champions you've had over, this storied history. Just a few names that pop out for me, and I'm sure there are many others for you. But going back as far as 2004, Ann Trayson, Cami Summit, Chrissy Mail, Megan Canfield, Joel Vault, um, Tim Olson, two-time winner. There, Dave Mackey, who's now a self-selected a leg amputee who paced at Western States this year. He paced someone who was also a leg amputee. Well, I don't know if he got the chance to pace him. I'll ask you that in a second. I don't know if he made it because I know he didn't finish the race. Eric Skaggs, old school runner. That's an old name from back in the day, among others. What are some performances that really stand out for you, looking back?
Well, those are all incredible athletes that were very accomplished. It's kind of humbling. For a while, when we were trying to get Waldo up to speed, we were a national championship and we were in the Montreal Ultra Cup for a while too. So we had some entries to Western States and that did help us with the very pointy end of the race. But I think the most memorable was Ann Trayson, who I didn't know very well at the time. I got to know her better when I moved here to California. But she shows up to run the damn race. She puts on the race shirt to race him. Like, isn't that rule number one? You don't try anything new on race day. Make sure you've tried this out. Well, here's Ann Trayson. Like, oh my God. And she was still running. She was still running well. And she gets to the finish and she's just cursing my head off, um, complaining about the trail we call the leap of faith. And we had a sign up there, leap of faith, and then it said, AKA trail my ass. Uh, and because that's what people said. Like, this isn't a trail. Well, no, it wasn't a trail. We just had to scratch it in 2004. It wasn't an established trail again. We had just found a way down that hopefully mimicked what it
Found,
used to be.
found a way
And
down.
and and she just couldn't stop complaining. She won the damn race. She ran a great time, but it's Anne, and I didn't know her at the time as well as I do now. So now I would just be like, okay, Anne, this is just who you are.
Yeah.
But that was cool. And David Laney, when he ran the course record, he thought he had missed it. He thought it was under 9 hours, and so he's on that nice gentle downhill, and he basically stops. He stops running hard, and he broke the course record by a minute and a half or something. I think it was Dave Mackey's course record that he broke. It's like, Dave, oh, I wish I could have been out there to tell you to keep running hard. You might have gotten closer to
Oh my
to
God.
9 hours.
Uh,
And we've also had, you mentioned all the women. We've had a woman win outright twice. Megan, I think her name at the time was Arbogast. Now it's Canfield. She won outright, and Chrissy Mail won outright. Beat all the men
wow.
twice. That's it. It happens,
Yeah.
but not regular. And it wasn't because the men were necessarily weak. They, especially Chrissy, she passed Lewis Taylor going up Maiden Peak to take the lead. And it's like Lewis said, I couldn't run with her. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Chrissy ran that in 11 hours 18 minutes. Lewis ran it in 11 hours 26 minutes. Not
And
to be outdone, Megan Canfield ran it in 10:48, and Jeff Browning on her heels at 10:50.
yeah,
Just
so we did have, like I said earlier, the course used to be 66 miles. So when you see those times, you can't necessarily compare. Like that was 4 miles longer when Chrissy ran it. That was long. I think that was the last year, wasn't that 2006 when she ran that? That was the last year of the 66-mile version. So
she
it's not a soft time. It's not a soft
no
time at all.
no Chrissy, she I think I've interviewed her back in 2011, 2012, a long time ago, and she gave me some really great advice about um when you're in that pain cave and you're just, it's not going your way, whatever, we all get there. But she said smile through it. She said I just smile and smile through it. That's why you see her in a happy ass attitude all the time. All the time. But yeah, she it was, I mean, she is just a great person, and she had an amazing trail running career at that.
Yep.
um, so there's another facet to this race I want to talk to you about, which is Waldo's participation ultra signups Trail to Zero program. Can you tell our listener about that?
Yeah, I'd been going to the U.S. Trail Running Conference for quite a few years, as a panelist or sometimes a moderator, and a big focus was on sustainability. And it's really a problem that we all of us race directors have to grapple with, or you can just close your eyes and pretend nothing's happening. But is it worth having an event that can bring so much positivity to individuals, to groups, to, all the trail work we do because of Waldo, how many people benefit from that alone. But the carbon footprint, is it worth it? Is the carbon footprint from that worth it? We all have to grapple with that if we put events on. And we learned probably 6 or 7 years ago, and this was primarily road events, big events, but it was some 90 something percent of the carbon footprint of a race is participant travel to and from the race, whether that's in your cars or if you're traveling in a plane, or whatever way you get there. That's the biggest contributor to the footprint, which in some ways it makes us feel less guilty if we do feel guilty about it. Like, well, let's let the runners try to correct it. And we'll do what we can to minimize our carbon footprint. But the Ultra Sign Up has this Trail to Zero program, and they let runners choose to donate or not. And there are carbon footprint or carbon neutralizing of organizations and projects that get approved, and money from these donations gets given to these projects and these organizations. And it's a low effort. It doesn't take much. And maybe some people would think, oh, this is just, gratuitous. You're just throwing money at a problem that you're not really trying to solve. Um, but at least it's a start. And until we can figure out how to get people here without burning any fossil fuels, or causing more carbon to be deposited in the air, I think it's an easy way. It's an easy thing for us to do, and I hope it gets more traction. There's still a lot that Ultra Sign Up can do that we can do, but it's a great first step, I think. And I don't want to force runners to do that, because I don't know what they do in there. They may already offset all of their carbon footprint. They may do way more than I ever will do in my life. And for me to impose, like, you have to give $4 of carbon credit, to get carbon credit. I'm not that kind of guy. Um, so it's up to them. And I don't judge if people donate a lot or if they donate nothing, I don't judge. I have no idea what else they're doing in their lives or if this is even important to them. And it's not my place to tell them that it's important or not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well said. And thanks for answering the question. It's something that's new to me and definitely worth looking into, especially those who are putting on events to look in as well. Um, Greg, I've I guess I have one last question for you, and thank you so much for your time today. I know that you have a lot on your plate, especially with Waldo happening just a few days from now. But what is your message to someone who's listening right now thinking that maybe I could run Waldo one day?
well, you could come on out and help us with trail work. That's a good first step. If and we have a weekend in July where we do 2.5 days and we cook food. We provide food for the volunteers that come. And many people, and I encourage this, they come do trail work with us for one day and then train on the course the next day, do their runs the other day. That's a really good way to kind of get an idea of what the course is like and what the climbs are like. It's been really fun to see people. We had just this last year, we had several people who were running the race and they did trail work with us. And that's a cool way to do it, to get exposed to the course and the culture and the community. You can feel our culture at the trail work weekend. Um, and if you like it, then sign up, you know.
And come prepared to jump into as many lakes as you can.
If you're fast enough. I'm not fast enough anymore. The last time I did it, I was on the tail end of my running career. And I was going to jump into all the lakes. I jumped into the first one and the wheels started coming off. Like, I don't have time to jump in lakes. You got to be fast to jump in all of them,
Huh.
especially Found Lake. You have to be fit. You can't be a slow old man like I am now.
We are today. Oh my gosh. Craig Thornley, after all these years, still doing it. Craig, thanks for everything you do for our running community. We all, have a debt to the man, who does so much for us all on the biggest stage that there is in ultra running, to the smallest old school race vibe that you can find, but keeping it real in both in both events. So thanks so much, Craig, and please share my love with your lovely wife for me. She's the real hero here, who be, behind every man is.
Yeah, she always says she didn't read the marriage contract that she had to help at all these ultras that I'm involved with. But yeah, I appreciate the kind words. I get all I need from watching runners have an incredible experience and being appreciative of all that all that our volunteers do to make it happen. It's not me. It's all the volunteers. I just orchestrate it. And I
Yeah.
don't necessarily do all the hard work, but thank you. And thanks for giving us Amy on our board. I'm so excited.
I know she is going to be a great addition to you guys. She holds
Yeah,
this race near and dear to your heart for sure. And
yeah. And we totally love we on our shirt, race shirt and the volunteer shirt. Instead of saying whatever year we started, we have keeping it old school since 2002. We've totally embraced this old school. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
awesome. Craig, Lord Balls, thank you so much for your time. It's great seeing you. Thanks so much.
All right. All right, Scotty. Thank you. Bye-bye.